Well, good morning, everybody. How's the day treating you? Coffee for you all, usual?
Howdy, howdy, yeah. But keep it light, okay? Sometimes this caffeine gives me a little of a sour stomach, if you know what I mean.
Sour stomach? Nah. Fill her to the brim. Iron gut, you know.
Will do, Chris. Amanda, coffee? How's your day been so far?
Day, Gib? Oh, it's been a week. What a week it's been. I just keep thinking about Jason Logan's family. A teenager lost in the blink of an eye. Every family's worst fear. I went to the funeral with my son. He's still very upset about it. I saw you there, Lou, as well.
We've taken food over and hosted one of the family members that attended the funeral from out of town. Trying to be good neighbors and supportive friends. So very sad. Life really can be unfair.
You know, so many people have been struggling with sudden and tragic deaths lately. It really makes me think I need to cherish the time I have left with my mom. You know about her struggle with Alzheimer's. I've told you about that. And her mind and her memory have been gone for a long time now. But her physical health has really started to decline. We started hospice. And I've been so overwhelmed with the emotional hurt of her illness, the burden of dealing with her care, all the visits that honestly, I've just been wishing she would die. And I feel awful about that. Just a completely selfish, bad daughter.
You know, when my grandma was dealing with Alzheimer's, my pastor told me that instead of asking, why is this happening, I should ask, what is God up to? And trust that he is up to something good.
And how did that work out for you?
Well, Chris, it did help me move to a more positive perspective for facing a challenge. Sally, I think you may be experiencing something similar.
I hope so, because this guilt is almost worse than the rest of it.
Wow, it just struck me. You know, generally we think about avoiding death or at least, extending living. But I guess there's times when we may want to just hasten it.
And your coffee may just do that, Gib.
You know, I think that as long as God gives us life, he gives us purpose.
Yeah, but what purpose could there possibly be served by being confined to a bed for the rest of your remaining days or hours?
Actually, Chris, I sat with a patient in that situation once as a volunteer for the No One Dies Alone program. This patient was in their final hours and really struggling to breathe, and just watching that made me wish I actually prayed that the person could die. As it turned out, they didn't. They lived a few extra days, but I learned later that the family lived several states away, and it took them until the next day to get there, and they were able to arrive and have that last moment with their loved one because he didn't die when I wanted him to.
It's amazing how it works out sometimes, huh?
You know, and just think of all the other volunteers and the medical staff whose lives were touched during their interaction with that patient and the eventual arrival of his family.
That's exactly right, Amanda.
You know, I think part of my guilt was really spurred by a conversation I had with one of my coworkers. I was kind of unloading some of my burdens on her. And she said, it's too bad we don't live in a state where assisted suicide is legal. And that really took me back. I mean, I'm hurting, yeah, but I certainly don't want to start playing God.
And just how about does someone play God?
Well, perhaps by interjecting our own wishes or desires into someone else's fate to interfere with the natural order.
Such as?
Well, such as keeping someone alive on a machine when their physical body is ready to die.
Yeah, but consider the flip side of that argument. If we have the technology and the knowledge to invent devices to keep someone living, why wouldn't we do that?
I don't know. It's hard for me to see how that really helps someone.
Well, there are stories of comatose people who've been kept alive who have waken up. I mean, what if you were someone who had to pull the plug on those people?
Actually, Chris, our family was in that situation once. I had an uncle who had a massive stroke and was in his home, unfound for 3 days, and eventually transferred to the hospital and lie in a hospital bed, being kept alive by a machine for several days.
I remember when you were telling us about that.
The doctors told us that he was brain dead. If by some remote chance he wasn't, his best case option was to live in a vegetative state in a nursing home. Fortunately for us family members, the Terry Schiavo right to die case in Florida had been in the news a lot just before this happened. And my uncle said emphatically that he never wanted to live under circumstances like that.
Even with the directive, from the patient himself, it still must have been really a tough thing to do.
You know, it was, Gib. It was extremely difficult. I gotta tell you guys, as we've been talking here, I've just felt myself getting more and more anxious. You remember we discussed a little while ago some aches and pains that I just kind of attributed to old age. Well, I got a little sharper chest and back pain. I had a doctor's appointment, and I made it to my doctor's appointment yesterday, and you guys, I got lung cancer.
What?
Oh.
How can that
Oh,
be?
sorry to hear that, Lou. This is sure some unexpectedly bad news.
Well, is it an early diagnosis? Because I've heard that some treatments are really effective if that's the case.
I'm just really trying to take it all in right now. I just found out yesterday. The doctors are going to recommend a treatment once they know the stage and grade and progression and all that. I guess I'll just know more tomorrow.
Well, Lou, what can we do for you? What do you need?
Yeah.
What do I need? I'll tell you what I need, Gib. I need the treatments that the doctors come up with to do their job and kill the cancer cells that are living in my body. That's what I need. That's all I know right now. You know, it's interesting. I used to say that I wanted to die before my spouse or my children because I didn't think that I could bear the sadness of their loss. But I got to tell you, sitting in this chair right now under these circumstances, I'm not feeling very courageous.
But Lou, there have been some really good and effective advancements in the science and treatment of cancer. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here. There could be some really hopeful news for you tomorrow.
You know, you're right, Chris. It's probably too early to start planning my funeral.
Yeah.
Lou, I know it's hard not to be frightened at times like this. If it can help to comfort you, I have to remind myself sometimes that there is more to life beyond here and now. And God understands our suffering and our fears and will help us through it if you allow it.
I remember something similar from a Bible study I went to a few years ago. My mom was really starting her decline. We talked about how God has entered into our humanity. He's taken on our struggles, our failures, and even our own human death. But God also brought us into the resurrection of Christ, and that gives us hope.
Yes, remember at the funeral service for Jason Logan last week, the pastor said, "For if we have been united with him in a death like his, we will certainly be united with him in a resurrection like his."
Jason, yes. Oh, I feel so bad for the Logans.
Tragedies like what happened to the Logans are just reminders of how we have the importance of living life to the fullest without any regrets. You never know when or how it will end.
I don't know, Chris. I think everybody's got some regrets in life.
I've got lots of them. I sometimes wonder if I've pushed God too far away, or for the final time.
Well, there's good news for you in the Bible, Lou, and for all of us. Paul reminds us in Ephesians that for it is by grace you have been saved, through faith. This is not from your own doing. It is the gift of God, not because of works.
Amen to that, Amanda. You know, I think I really need to go visit with my mom. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Lou,
Sure.
we'll be thinking of you and your appointment tomorrow and keep you in our prayers.
Yeah, me too. Bye, everyone.
Gotta be on my
Sally.
way. Time waits for no one.
Chris?
Hope things go well for you, Lou.
Thanks. Thanks, everybody.
Yep,
I'll
bye,
let you
all.
know next time. Wish me luck.
Have a good day.